Hello friends, family, and people of the internet. My name is Garrett and it's been another couple of crazy weeks here in South Korea. Even after being here for almost a month, it's still hard to believe that I'm in South Korea getting to do what I do. It's such an incredible opportunity and I've absolutely enjoyed every second of it. And now that I've been here a while, I'm starting to get comfortable enough to go out and venture out on my own, not have to have someone to help me get to and from English Village, which is really, really nice. To kind of have that independence. That being said, the public transportation system here has involved its own learning curve, and I'm finally getting to the point where I feel like I can navigate it by myself. I'm not used to using public transportation. In where I grew up, we never really used it. The infrastructure for that wasn't really super well developed, and then in Nashville where I went to school there wasn't really much of that either. Where I grew up I never really had to learn how to read a subway map or bus schedule or anything like that, so it's taken a little bit of time getting used to doing that, especially since all of that is in Korean here. But I'm starting to feel comfortable enough where I've ventured out once or twice to some of the outlets near English Village, and I've gone out with friends enough to Seoul that I now think that I could make it there and back by myself, which I'm really excited to try pretty soon. That being said, my learning experience for this has not been without its mistakes. So one of the first times we went to Seoul together as a group, I missed the bus. We were all going into the city to see a show, so we had this plan in place for a few days before, and what we were going to do is right after work we were going to go into the city, someone was going to tell us when a bus was coming, and we were going to go in together. So what I didn't realize is that the messaging system that we were using to communicate the time was not sending me push notifications on my phone. So here I am after work, all dressed up and nowhere to go, waiting for this notification on my phone to happen. And so I got a notification from a different app that said, hey, are you on the bus? And I was just like, no, I never got any notification about when we were all going down there. And they were like, no, we're on the bus. We sent it in this other one. And I was like, oh my gosh, I started freaking out, pulled it up, and yep, there it was. About 10 minutes before, said it's like, oh hey, we're meeting at the bus stop at this time. And so I frantically ran down to the bus, waited for the next one, and I hopped on and was able to make it down there. And thankfully, someone who was on the previous bus got off at the next stop and got on to ride with me over there, because I would not have known when to get off. I would not have known what to do. And that was a weird experience because it was the first time we were all out there together and I missed the bus. And that was really a kind of a dip squat move. But you know, it all worked out in the end and we were able to make it to the show on time. No thanks to me, but it all worked out really, really well. Another bus story that I have is the first time that I rode alone on a bus to actually get somewhere, not because I actually missed the bus. So one thing that I've learned here is if you're standing at a bus stop and you don't wave the bus down, they will just drive on by and not stop for you. So you have to make sure that you do that. And the same is true for stopping to get off the bus. I'm not sure how it's done in the States because I've never really ridden a bus in the States, but if you don't press the stop button, they will continue to drive forever. So normally what happens is you press the stop button, and they pull up to the next stop and then you get off. And so that's what I was expecting on my first solo bus ride. So I was on my way to the outlets. I go and I hailed down the bus and I was like, yes, I got on the bus. It's all gonna work out. I don't need to worry about this. And so I'm listening, I'm like sitting on the bus really intent, not listening to any music, I'm like staring out the window to make sure that I get off at the right stop. And I'm listening and it says something in Korean. I'm like, okay, that kind of sounds like it. And then it says it in English afterward. I was like, okay, that's my stop. And so I pressed the stop button and the bus driver immediately stops in the middle of the road, just like a good quarter mile before the bus stop. And I was like frantic. I was like, oh my gosh, because I was at that point getting my jacket back on, getting my hat on, getting all situated and ready to go. But he was like, oh, you want to stop? So we're going to stop right here. And so I had to like frantically kind of like half get everything on. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get everything out. So I'm like frantically getting all this stuff. My arms are full. I'm getting all this stuff. I'm like, okay, thank you. And I get off the bus and I'm standing there and I'm like, what in the world? I'm nowhere near the outlets, nowhere near any bus stop. And so I had to walk a good 5-10 minutes to get to where I was going. And I just thought that was so random that that's the first time that that's happened, that they just stop in the middle of the road to let you off and not at an actual stop. And I thought it was really, really funny. The next story that I have is another bus story. I realize I have a lot of bus stories. Anyway, something else that I learned about public transportation in general, but specifically happened to me on a bus, is sometimes people just want their peace and quiet when you're commuting. So I'm heading back to English Village from Seoul with one of my friends, and we're talking just at a normal volume, you know, as you do. And someone leans over to me and he's just like, hey mister. And I was like, yes. And he's like, could you please be quiet? My friend is trying to sleep. I was like, oh, sorry, yeah, okay, sorry. And I'm like, okay, so we sit in silence for the next 20 minutes. And then the friend gets off at a later stop, and then this guy who talked to me and told me to shut up was like, hey, do you live here? And I was like, yeah, I live in Paju. And he's like, how long have you been here? I was like, about a week. And he's like, how long are you gonna be here? About a year. He's like, oh, okay. And he pulls out his business card, and he's like, if you need anything while you're here, give me a call. And I really didn't know what to say. I was like, oh, thank you, sure. And so I took his business card, and I have his business card now. But I thought it was so funny that it went from like polar opposites, like, oh, I'm mad at you for talking too loud on the bus, to if you need anything while you're here, give me a call. And I was like, that's a little uncomfortable, but okay, thank you, sir. And I just looked at my friend that I was riding with, and we're kind of like, I have no idea what just happened. So it was a really interesting experience, but now I know not to be too loud on the bus. So anyway, it's been really nice getting to the point where I'm comfortable enough venturing out on my own, and I don't have to rely on other people going with me in order to make sure that I get back to my apartment. And so I'm really excited because now I'm going to be able to explore a lot more of Seoul on my own, and kind of experience the city a little bit more, which I just absolutely cannot wait for. And I cannot wait to share how that all goes with you guys. So if you want to continue to see all of my adventures now that I'm able to venture out into Seoul, make sure that you subscribe and leave a like and a comment if you have any questions, and I can't wait to share more with you. And if there's anything in Seoul or the Seoul area that you think would be cool to do, leave it in the comments and I might just go and do that. So anyway, I can't wait to actually get to start sharing all of that stuff with you, and until then, I will see you guys in the next video.